Thank you all for joining. We are in the Bhagavad-gita 18 chapter 18-day program. We completed until 14 chapters. We have to start with chapter 15.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So before can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, and then are you seeing the big screen now?
This is fine, Prabhuji.
The slide entirely covering, right? You are not seeing the
Yes.
split screen. Yeah. So before we discuss about any spiritual topics, we say a few prayers. You can all please unmute and we can all say together. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we are dedicating this program to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He is the founder Acharya of ISKCON. And we are inspired to do this program by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami. He is a senior member of ISKCON and he is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. We are starting this with the glorification of Bhagavad-gita. Anyone wants to read the translation?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Dattaji.
A person who wants to cross over the ghastly ocean of material suffering can do so very easily by taking shelter of the boat of the Bhagavad-gita.
So who wants to get out of this material world? Who wants liberation?
This Jiva.
Jiva, but do we want liberation or no? I want liberation.
Yes.
Yes.
So we all Jiva, right, Prabhuji?
Yes, but not all jivas want liberation, right? So because some they are of ignorance, or some even after knowing, they still like, oh, it's very difficult. Whatever small happiness I get, let me work hard. I will get that little happiness. So whoever jivas who are willing to take liberation or seek liberation, if they take shelter of the Bhagavad Gita, it's like the boat that comes and saves them from the ghastly ocean. This ocean is compared to this material world is compared to an ocean.
Yes.
We are all trying to keep our head high over the water, trying to constantly swim. But can anyone survive? Even if you are a expert swimmer, you will not be able to survive in the ocean. That's so big. So in the material world, we need help. If we have to be saved from an ocean, you need a boat to come and pick you up. So in order for us to get liberated, we need that boat, and that boat is Bhagavad Gita. So we'll do a quick recap of the chapter 14 that we read. And Krishna is saying that he is the Bija Pita, means that he is the seed-giving father of all the living entities. And then this material world is made up of three modes, which are the Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas: mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. You can take anything in this material world, it falls into this only, and we'll dive a bit deeper in chapter 18. And it's not like one person is always good, always bad, or always impassionate, or always ignorant. They have the tendency, these three modes keep on fighting within our body for dominance and prominence. So whichever time, place, circumstance we are in, we basically get controlled by that. So this is a similar concept that is also in Buddhism. It's called the Buddha rule, or something that says that don't judge anyone. This material body is basically executing based on what the everything is based on the time, place, and circumstance the body grew up in. Which meaning saying that if somebody did a bad thing, if the soul that is in the body is taken away and some other soul was put in the body, that soul would also be doing the same bad thing. So because it is the time they were born, the place they were brought up, the circumstances they were grew up, and they were bound to make that mistake. So that also goes to the similar thing that where everything written is on your forehead, your palm is everything written, everything is predestined. How do we reconcile that is, yes, everything is predestined based on the body that we got, and irrespective of whether a particular soul is in my body or a different soul is in my current body, the body will act exactly the same. But then what is the point of Bhagavad-gita? What is the point of this Bhakti Yoga and all is, only when there is a divine intervention can that be changed. So unless and until we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, whatever is happening in our life is all predefined. You cannot change that. And if you don't like that, if you want to change it, you can take the shelter of the Supreme Lord. And then once, because Brahma already wrote everything in this world, that this is supposed to happen in this way, this way, this way, like that. But then who can change that? Somebody who is above Brahma. And we know who is above Brahma, Lord Vishnu. So if we take shelter of any of the Vishnu Tattvas, then if we get their mercy, our karma will also change, because Krishna again is promising in chapter 8, it will come into the most popular, one of the popular verses. Sarvadharman parichaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papeve mokshisham vasuja. Means once you surrender on to me, I will remove all your sinful activities and you can come back to me. I'll give you moksha. So the thing is, don't judge anyone just because somebody made a mistake. Even if our soul was in that body, we would have done the same mistake. At the same time, be thankful that we got the opportunity to surrender to Krishna, because whatever sinful activities we are supposed to do, Krishna is actually making us not do them. Okay. And different, if somebody dies in the mode of goodness, they go to the higher planets. Somebody dies in the mode of passion, they take birth among the same fruitive activity people. And if somebody dies in the mode of ignorance, they go into the animal kingdom. But the problem with all three is, are still bound in the material world only. They have to keep taking birth in this cycle of birth and samsara. This one we also read. But what we have to understand is, if we take to Bhakti Yogena Sevate, if we perform service in Bhakti Yoga, then Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate, we are already established on the Brahman platform, which means that just by taking the process of Bhakti Yoga seriously, liberation is guaranteed. And then why we are continuously doing Bhakti Yoga throughout the life is, we don't want to just stop with Brahma Jyoti liberation. We want to go and associate ourselves with Krishna and Vishnu Tattvas, go to Vaikuntha planets, so that we will always be in eternal bliss. Okay. So now chapter 15. In chapter 15 is the yoga of the Supreme Person. Means more about, this is also, Krishna says towards the end of this chapter, this is also more Guhyatamam, means even most confidential part of the knowledge that he is revealing to Arjuna. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Urdhvamulam Adah Shakam
ऊर्ध्वमूलमधःशाखम्
Ashwattam Prahuravyayam
अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम्
Chandamsi Yasya Parnani
छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि
Yastam Veda Sa Vedavit.
यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्.
Translation, anyone?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas.
Thank you, Jain. So if we want to explain a concept to others so that they can easily understand, what helps? What can we use?
Illustrations.
Illustrations, yes, but we don't have any books or anything for like or any material to illustrate. What else can we use? An analogy, right? With something that we already know how it works, and if we compare it to the something that something that we already know, then we'll be able to easily understand, or the other people can easily understand the concept. So one of the analogy that Parikshit Maharaj uses in Bhagavatam is he goes to ask Sukadeva Goswami, "Oh Sukadeva Goswami, people in this material world, why they keep making the same mistake again and again, even after repeatedly atoning for their sins? Means they go to a church or a temple, they pray or they confess, I made this mistake. And then immediately after coming off from the church and temple, they commit the same mistake or commit sinful activities. And the analogy he uses is like you take an elephant, its body is covered with mud, it goes into the water to take a bath. After cleaning its body, it comes onto the shore and immediately takes mud and puts mud all over its body. So that is the analogy he gave. So what we can understand is that it's very easy to understand, right? Where, okay, these people, all of us in, or this men in the society, they say that I made a mistake. I go to temple. Oh Lord, I made a mistake, and please save me, or please remove my sin. And then after coming out, again another mistake, same mistake or another mistake. Again go Sunday, go to the temple and ask. So just like the elephant is doing. So similar is the so if we compare with analogy, it's very easy to understand the point. So Bhagavad-gita, Krishna also gives an analogy. What is the analogy? He's saying this material world is like a banyan tree, but it is upside down. The roots are going upward and the branches are going down, and the leaves are the Vedic hymns. So if we think about it, right, have we seen in this world a tree that is upside down?
Not like that.
Yeah, sir, anywhere, like any, need not be an actual tree, but have
In the reflection, water in the.
yes, good. I mean, Haribol. So if we take a tree that is standing on the edge of the water, if we see the reflection on the water, the tree appears to be upside down, where the roots are going up and the branches are going down, and then the leaves are there. And what can we take from that analogy? That the reflection the real tree?
No.
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 So the analogy that was given here is for us to understand this material world is not the real world. The real world is the actual tree from which it is reflected. So everything that is in this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. The spiritual world is actually the real thing. But the Maya is so strong that we think that this is the reality, and then that there is nothing beyond it. We cannot envision, we cannot even imagine, because this body is gone. How can I have something else that will give me pleasure? But that is the Maya, because we cannot understand. Uh, what we have to do is we have to take that will come in the later chapter. We have to just take what Krishna is saying and the acharyas are saying. So the real form of the tree cannot be perceived in this world. Same thing that we have discussed about the spiritual and material worlds in the previous chapters. The real form of the tree means the real spiritual world we cannot perceive in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, and where its foundation is. But with the determination, one must cut down the strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. Thereafter, one must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. So, the real tree is where it is. It all came from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We are currently in the reflection, and we are bound to these branches. What are the things that are binding us?
family, putra, family, house.
All the
Job.
desires. Yes. Um, of course, when you look at it, it starts with the desire only. I want to have a family, so we have a family. I want to have kids, so we have kids. So it's all the desires. So the various desires that we have is binding us. But if we are detached, then we need not. Then we can immediately go from here and go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which is so we are currently here and we'll go here. So how can we get detached? Should we just leave the family and go to Himalayas? No, right? Which I read in chapter. The detachment should be in the mind. So it's called Yukta Vairagya, means Vairagya means detachment, Yukta means engagement. These two appear to be words that have exact opposite meaning in one word, but that is what is all about Bhakti Yoga. Means we engage whatever attachments that we have in Krishna's service, then they automatically get detached. So if we have a car, use it for Krishna's service. If we have a house, use it, do a bhajan, do a kirtan once a month or once a quarter even. And if we have kids or family, just sit once a week and do kirtan in the house or read Bhagavad-gita together, one chapter, one verse a day, something like that. So we are all making progress towards the Supreme Lord, and that is no longer an attachment to the family. And even if the kid succeeds, we know that it is Krishna's mercy and we are bringing Krishna into the center. So it is, we are still we are attached to our kid through Krishna. We are attached to our house through Krishna. We are attached to our car through Krishna. So when you look at it, we are attached to Krishna, not the other things. So even though superficially, when we look at, we might appear to be spending time in the family, but our consciousness is always thinking of Krishna. When we reach that stage, then we are completely we using the detachment. We have cut that bonds, and then or we go back to the spiritual world. And that spiritual world is where everything is emanating from. And that is, if you saw in the previous, so it is the Goloka Vrindavan from where everything is actually emanating, where Radha Krishna are there. And then it comes in this material world, the root is Brahma. And from there, the branches come and the leaves are the Vedic hymns. And the living entities are bound to different branches. Okay. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand someone wants to read?
Those who are free from the false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who unhindered know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, attain to the eternal kingdom.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So basically, how to surrender to the Supreme and attain. So who are those people who can surrender? Means they should be free from false prestige. False prestige has two meanings. One is thinking great of something that we think belongs to us, but does anything belong to us? Nothing, right? So it is, that's why it's called false prestige. Any prestige that we feel in this world, thinking I am great, I am rich, I am education, I am super educated, I am handsome, I am beautiful. All those things are body related, which also doesn't belong to us. We are the spirit soul, that we should not be associating with the body, and that is why it's called a false prestige. And anything that we think that we try to show off that we don't have also is false prestige. Means like some things that we always try to, for glorification, we try to project that we have something that we don't have. That's also false. So these two things we have to avoid. And illusion and false association. False association means people who are always anything that is in the material world is false, right? Because it is not the reality. The reality is all reflection. So any association on the material platform is not recommended. And if we try to always associate with the devotees, our illusion will be gradually gone, and also our lust will be reduced. And then, irrespective of what happens, whether we are happy or in distress, we are not bewildered. And so once we reach that stage, then we will be able to go back home, back to Godhead by complete surrender. And that is a process. It's not like I think that I want to do Krishna consciousness today, and next day morning I'm already in that state. No, right? Because we have been having these material desires from many lives. It takes some effort to do that. And the analogy, again, the analogy that Prabhupada gave is when you start Krishna conscious process seriously, you are switching off the fan. Once you turn the switch off, does the fan come to a stop immediately?
No,
No, right? But does the fan come to a stop at some point?
yes.
Yes. But if the switch is on, does the fan come to a stop at all?
No.
So as long as we don't take to Krishna consciousness, the switch is on, our activities will keep on bringing karma. We have to go in the cycle of birth and death again. Once we take to Krishna consciousness, the switch is off. Doesn't mean I am in already in Goloka the next day, right? No, because the fan is still has this inertia. It is still rotating. So our residual karma will be there, and we have to still execute or endure that. But sooner or later, with Krishna's mercy, the fan will come to a complete stop, which is our samsara will end and we'll go back home, back to Godhead. And now Krishna is telling the some qualities about or characteristics about that spiritual world. Translation, anyone? Or we can read Natad Bhasyate Suryo
न तद्भास्यते सूर्यो
Na Shashanko Na Pavakaha
न शशाङ्को न पावकः
Yadgatva Na Nivartante
यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते
Taddama Paramam Mama.
तद्धाम परमं मम.
Translation, anyone?
That supreme abode of mine is not illuminated by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world.
So what Krishna is saying is that spiritual world, the characteristic is it is always bright. And why is it bright? Is there a sun like here? Is there a moon? Is there some fire that someone lights up, or is there some electricity? No. The natural tendency or the natural characteristics of that spiritual world is it is always bright. It is the effulgence that is emanating from Radha Krishna's body. So it is always very bright. And what is the characteristic of that? If someone goes there, they will not come back. Some people might ask the question like, how can you be sure that once you go there, you will not come back? Another analogy given is how many, when we were young, right, where we might have put our finger in a plug, we would have got a shock, right? So after getting the shock, did we ever put the finger consciously in the plug?
No.
No, right? So same thing. Whatever be the reason we came into this material world, and once we have been going through this suffering for many lifetimes. Once we go back to the spiritual world, we realize what mistake we made, and what the difference between the material world and the spiritual world. And even if someone says, please go and put your finger in the plug, we will not put. So even if someone says, please go to the material world, we'll say, no, please, I want to stay in the spiritual world. So that, and Krishna is also saying the same thing. If at all we go to the spiritual world, we will never come back. Mamai Vamso Jiva Loke
Jiva Bhuta Sanatana
So
Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha
Jiva
भूता सनातनः
Mana Shastanindriyani
मनःषष्ठानीन्द्रियाणि
Prakritistani Karshati.
प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति.
Translation, anyone?
The
The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind.
So Krishna is saying again, these living entities are not something. They are my energies only. They are my eternal fragments. They have always been my Vibhinamsa. It's in Sanskrit. But they are, he clearly says that in this material world, they are always struggling life after life by taking different bodies and different mind uh, corresponding to the body.
Yes.
Yeah, you can read the translations.
The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects.
Yeah, thank you. So, Krishna is giving another analogy. How does a living the jiva, the soul, go from one body to another? Just like you have a flower somewhere, but you are somewhere else, you see the aroma, right? You feel the smell the aroma. How is it? Because that aroma is carried by the air. Similarly, our soul is encaged by two types of bodies. One is the gross body that we have right now, but it is between the soul and the gross body. There is also the subtle body, which is made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego. So once if as soon as someone dies, the gross body dies, but the subtle body still is encaging the soul. Just like we only one part of the cage is gone, other cage is the inner cage is still on the soul, which is the mind, intelligence, and false ego, and that is the one that is responsible for giving us the karma, life after life. So our soul is still in the cage of the subtle body, and that subtle body goes and takes shelter of another gross body. It could be if we did like better pious activities, it will take to some other higher planets. If we did some bad activities and it did not use the human form of life, it will take the shelter of another animalistic gross body, and after it, that cycle keeps on repeating, and it keeps suffering or enjoying based on the senses it got, okay, and the mind it got in that body. And the foolish people cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sorts of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. The endeavoring transcendental intellects who are situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. And why? Because the we can only see the gross body, we cannot see the subtle body that is beneath it. So that's why uh, even try to and that subtle body. So even let's take scientists, right? They can only measure the brain power, like IQ. They cannot measure like how there is no metrics to measure the mind capacity or the intelligence and all. They can use some metrics like intelligent quotient, but that is not the real thing. But the consciousness cannot be measured. So even though they may try, they cannot figure out how the subtle body exists. But a person who is a transcendentalist can see it all very clearly because they can experience the subtle body, and they can also clearly see from their previous lives what happened and do that. But of course, the devotees really don't want that kind of yogic powers. They just want to get out as soon as possible. They don't want to sit in meditation to figure out in the previous life what was I doing, like that.
Who are the transcendentalists?
All the people who are trying to get away from the material world by following the one of the genuine processes, whether it is Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, or Ashtanga Yoga. But they must be situated in self-realization, means they should be making progress on that one. And if we are Bhakti Yoga, we automatically become transcendentalist because we are Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. We are established on the Brahman platform, which is transcendental to the three modes. So we immediately become transcendentalist. But other yoga processes, after so much endeavor, if you are successful after many, many lives, then you will become a transcendentalist. Does that answer your question, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Okay. And now Krishna is giving some of his glories. Of yeah, anyone wants to read the translations?
The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables.
So Krishna is now telling how he enters into each of the universe as Garbhodakshai Vishnu and Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So the three Vishnus. One is the Mahavishnu, which he lies down, and from his pores of the body, like all these universes are coming out, and within the universe he again enters as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and again enters into each of the atom. As basically what we have to understand is nothing in this material world moves without Krishna. So he has to, everything is moving based on the will of the Supreme Lord, Vishnu only. Okay, Vishnu is nothing but Krishna, expansion of Krishna. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva
Aham
Vaishvanaro Bhutva
Praninam Deham Ashritaha
Praninam Deham
Pranapana Samayuktaha
Pranapanasamaha
Pachami Annam Chaturvidam
Pachamyannam Chaturvidam
Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishto
Sarvasvaham Hridisannivishto
Mattasmritir Gnanam Apohanam Cha
Mattasmritirjnanam Apohanam cha
Vedaisya Sarvairahameva Vedyo
Vedascha
Sarvairaham
sarvairaheva vidyo
Vedanta Krit Vedavit Eva Chaham.
Vedanta krit veda vidheva cha.
Translation 1.
I am the fire.
I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the four kinds of foodstuff. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known indeed. I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas.
Jai, thank you, Mataji. So basically, Krishna is saying that even we don't have the power to digest also. How many living entities are there? Like millions and billions, right? Even Krishna is helping each of the living entity digest the food every day, like 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, any times we are eating. It is Krishna that is digesting the food as fire within the body. And then he is also the Hridi Sannivishto. He is near the heart. He is residing as the super soul. And he is the one responsible for Matta Smritir Gnanam Apohanancha. I am responsible for Smriti, means remembrance, Gnanam, knowledge. Apohanam means forgetfulness. So if somebody did not recollect something, it's because Krishna, as super soul, did not give them the memory. If someone remembered or someone is very knowledgeable, it is Krishna within their heart giving all that. And of course, why will he give? Same thing we discussed, right? And it will be touched in chapter 18. If we deserve, when will we deserve? If we keep on practicing. If we want to remember something, a lesson or something, if we put effort and keep on practicing it, Krishna seated within the heart and sees that, okay, this person has a desire to remember this for more. So let me keep reminding him whenever he wants. But if we are not serious and okay, I read once, but I want to remember, but I'm not really serious. Then when the time comes when we want to recollect, it doesn't come because Krishna knows that as Paramatma that this person is not serious. And Vedaischa Sarvair Ahameva Vedyo Vedanta Krit Vedavit Eva Chaha means of all the Vedas, somebody is reading Vedas means if let's say somebody wrote a paper and they wrote the conclusion. If we read only 1/3 of the paper or 1/4 of the paper and not come to the conclusion, is there a point of reading the paper? No, right? We have to read the conclusion. So once if somebody wants to take up the Gnana Yoga and want to read the Vedas, they have to read it in entirety. And once they complete reading all the Vedas, which of course takes like 125 years at least, then they will come to the conclusion that Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, everything is Krishna only, which Krishna is saying himself in Bhagavad-gita. And and he is the compiler of the Vedanta itself, means like as Vyasadeva, and he is the knower of the Vedas. So if we don't reach to the conclusion, then what is the point of reading the Vedas? So, and if we already know the conclusion, what is the necessity for reading the paper? Same thing. If we already know that Krishna is the conclusion of all the Vedic literature, what is the point of spending time in reading the Vedic literature? We immediately surrender to Krishna and go back home, back to Godhead. And now Krishna is telling the more about the two kinds of living beings that are there. Translation, anyone? You can read all three.
There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible. And in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible. Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Supreme Soul, the imperishable Lord Himself, who has entered the three worlds and is maintaining them. Because I am transcendental beyond both the fallible and infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as a supreme person.
Jai, thank you, Mataji. So Krishna is now introducing the concept of two living kinds of living beings. Whoever is in the material world or the fallible means they can't, they fell down. They came under the influence of Krishna's material energy, Maya. But there are also other living entities who are infallible. They never fell down. So, to go get more details about this, we read Srimad Bhagavatam written by Vyasadeva, who says that of the Krishna's energy of all the living entities, three-fourths of the living entities never fell down. They have always been in the spiritual world, in different Vaikuntha planets or different, some other places. But one-fourth of the living entities, all of us, fell down. And there is no one single reason that we all fell down. Just like we have a unique relationship with the Supreme Lord, each of us fell down for whatever be the reason. And it is, and do we uh, try to find out why I fell down, or do we try to go back home? Because we are in the material world, we are trying to, this material world is an ocean. We are struggling to keep up in this material world. If a boat comes to rescue us, will we ask the boatman, hey, first tell me why I came into this water, or do we get on the boat immediately? We get on the boat, right? So that's the analogy given by Jayapataka Swami, who we are inspired by doing this. He says that when we should take the shelter of the Supreme Lord, and once the Supreme Lord comes, which is the holy name by chanting, to rescue us, first we get on to the boat. First we take shelter of the Supreme Lord, then ask the question, what caused me to come down? Why am I part of this one-fourth of the living entities that fell down? Then we can ask that, don't worry about why I fell down first. So that is the key. And besides these two living entities, the super soul is the greatest, and that he is transcendental to both these living entities. Means he is completely separate. Some people try to say that Krishna is an ordinary human being. First of all, they will say Krishna, he's born, he's died, and all. No, these are all avatars. Uh, when an avatara comes, they appear and they disappear. There is no death to the Supreme Lord. Once they come into this material world, why do they have to come to the material world? Really, the Supreme Lord doesn't have to come. He wants to give the mercy to this one-fourth of the living entities to understand that there is a place that is transcendental, where if we get attracted to Rama with his pastimes, if we get attracted to Krishna, to Narsimha, whatever be the personality of Godhead's form, then if we can make it an eternal relationship and go back home. And that's why they are coming back to encourage us again and again, to inspire us to go back home. Really, they wouldn't have to come. And once the avatara's time is over, they disappear, and then the avatara goes back to the spiritual world and eternally stays there. People who are of ignorance, and they say Krishna died, Krishna body burned, like all this. No, it doesn't. It is all the avatara comes and they disappear, just like Rama went into the water and he disappeared. And it is also mentioned right in um, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. If someone knows this secret, that these avatars are always existing and how they come, how they go, especially Krishna when he was first born, it's an illusion that the Devaki thinks that she has pregnancy, but as Krishna appears right away in front of them, and then he appears in a four-handed Narayana form. Then Devaki and Vasudeva ask, "Oh Krishna, oh Supreme Lord, can you go change into a normal baby form? Because people will be Kamsa will immediately think that you are the Supreme Lord. He will know immediately. Of course, out of love, they are doing that. And immediately, based on their request, Krishna from the Narayana form changes into the two-handed form, and then Nanda Maharaj takes him. Like, these are all the things that we don't know. Once we read Bhagavatam, then we know. Then when we know this, we know that the Krishna is not an ordinary human being who take birth from the like the womb, like that, right? So those are the things that we need to know. Once we know these transcendental secrets, त्यक्त्वा देहं पुनर्जन्म नैतमापि स्वजन. Once we leave this body, we will not come back to this material world. Translation, anyone?
Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata.
Thank you. So bhajati mam means someone will engage in the bhakti process. What is the key? They know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting. So there is this analogy again in the Vedic scriptures, like it is called the crow and the coconut. So a crow keeps flying and comes and lands, sits on a branch. At the same time, a coconut falls down. Now, the question is, did the coconut fall because it was ripe, or did the coconut fall because the crow sat there?
Because it was ripe.
What if the crow caused a vibration?
I am just answering by looking at the image, Prabhuji.
So this analogy was given in the Vedas just to tell that it really doesn't matter. People keep on wasting time on things that why this happened, why that happened in my life. No, we should focus on the present and where we want to go. Don't have to worry about why it happened, whether the crow came and caused a vibration and the coconut fell, or the coconut is ripe and it fell. It doesn't matter. The coconut fell. So whatever happened in the past happened, and we should now, without any doubts, take to the process of Krishna consciousness and try with the goal to go back home, back to Godhead. Then we'll make progress. If we keep on thinking that something happened in my life because I did this, because I did that, no, it doesn't matter. What saying Vedas are saying is, don't waste time on those arguments. Iti guhyatamam shastram.
Iti guhyatamam
Iti
shastram.
guhyatamam shastram.
Idamuktam maya naga.
Idamuktam maya naga.
Etad buddhva buddhiman syat.
Etad
Buddhya
buddhiman
buddhiman
syat.
syat.
Kritakrutyascha bharata.
Kritakrtyasya Bharata.
Bharata.
Translation, anyone? The last verse.
This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection.
So guhyam, guhyataram, guhyatamam means guhyam means secret. Guhyataram means more secret. Guhyatamam means the most secret. So Krishna is now revealing the most secret knowledge, which is that there are these two worlds, not just the material world. There is a spiritual world. The material world is a reflection of that. There are these two kinds of living beings. So 1/4 of the living beings are in this material world, 3/4 are in the spiritual world. We can get out of by using detachment and taking to the process of bhakti yoga. And the Supreme Lord is seated within the heart. Everything he enters into this material world, everything is moving by him only. And all this knowledge. And this knowledge, did we know before coming here to Bhagavad-gita class? At least I did not know, right? So this is all confidential knowledge. Using this knowledge, if we understand this and become wise, then all our endeavors will become perfection. Means anything we attempt here in this world, whether to seek liberation or even to make our life better, it will all seek perfection. Translation, even?
One should
One
always
should always remember Vishnu and never forget him. All injunctions and prohibitions are based upon these two principles.
So, in Krishna consciousness movement, we say, what are the two things that we have to do? One do and one don't, right? What the do's is chanting. Everybody has to do chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The don'ts is the four regulative principles, means no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit relationships. Why we are doing that is all these injunctions or prohibitions are based on these two principles only, which is to remember Krishna and to never forget him. When we are chanting, we are always trying to recollect Krishna and his holy name with the names that we are chanting. And we are following these regulative principles. We will never forget Krishna because constantly we are in that mood that I should not do this because I am a Krishna devotee. I should not go and gamble. I should not go and have intoxicants. I should not. I should be strict in my family affairs. I should not kill animals unnecessarily, like for my food, where I can have plenty of vegetables. So, which means that why we are doing this is because of Krishna. So, back of the mind, subconsciously, we will never forget Krishna. So, on December 1st, there is this Gita Yagna going on. I recommend all of you, if you are near the Somerset, New Jersey area, please plan to attend, which is Monday, 6:30 p.m. And also, if you want to sponsor, become a Yagnapati, means sponsor the Yagna, you can donate 108, and with that 108, you will actually get back a box of Bhagavad-gita books, 16 of them, which are valued at 160. So you can distribute them to your friends or have them also. So I would say that please utilize this opportunity. And before we close, so when Parikshit Maharaj asks Sukadeva Goswami why people keep um, committing the same sin even after atonement is, it is because of their desires only. And Sukadeva Goswami says initially that if you have knowledge, then you might be able to stop, which is that this is not the right thing to do. But Parikshit Maharaj is not convinced because a lot of people, even with the knowledge, actually commit the same mistake. They know that this is the right thing to do. Then Sukadeva Goswami says that yes, you are a good disciple. The actual answer is only by Bhakti Yoga. Once you take to the shelter of the Supreme Lord, only then you will realize that you should not make this mistake again and again. Until then, all these atonements that we do will also bring karma because we are not keeping up with them. And even any atonement that we do is only at fixing the symptoms of a disease. They are not fixing the cause of the disease. But if we take to Bhakti Yoga, it will fix the cause, which is the desires. And then we will go back home, back to Godhead. Any questions before we close today's session? Is it clear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Yes, go ahead.
Prabhuji, this is Priya. I have a small question
Yes.
from 15.7. You said living entities are my eternal fragmental parts. So, can you elaborate on that, Prabhuji? I want to know, like, is it like fragmented parts means, is it from Krishna ji or could be from our past lives or from our parents as well?
That's a great question. So, all the living entities are this individual souls, right? Our real identity is the soul, not the body. And Krishna has two types of expansions. One is the Swamsa and one is the Vibhinnamsha. Means the Supreme Lord himself, he expanded, you can think of as a candle. He expanded himself as another candle, right? And then that candle is equal potency. When if it is a Swamsha, when Krishna expanded as Rama or Balarama or Narsimha or Lord Govinda or Balaji or whichever Vishnu Tattvas, they are all equally potent. Anyone can deliver any living entity. Similarly, he also expanded as Vibhinnamsha, means partial expansion, not the complete. So, in terms of the energy, you have a candle or a fire that has fire particles, correct, like sparks.
Yes, yes,
So
Prabhuji.
the jivas are like the sparks. In quality, they are like the Supreme Lord, and that's why when we say Aham Brahmasmi, which means that I'm not, the people misunderstand and say Aham Brahmas means I'm God. No, the real meaning is I am God-like. Means I am a spark of the Supreme Lord, but in terms of quantity, I am not as powerful, as potent as the Supreme Lord. That's why I come under the influence of Maya. The real, if you take a fire, the sparks will fall on some place and they will be encapsulated, right? But the
Yes,
fire itself will not. So similarly, the potency of the Supreme Lord is unlimited, and Maya cannot capture. Maya is like a shadow. It cannot. Supreme Lord is infallible. But on the other hand, the Vibhinnamsa, I mean small energy particles, he expanded as we are those living entities. And since we, in terms of quantity, we are not as powerful, we come under the influence of Krishna's material energy, which is Maya, and we are struggling here. But once we get out and go back home, we'll be able to go back and associate ourselves with the actual Supreme Lord, whether it is as Krishna, Rama, or Narasimha, whichever is our Ishtadaiva, we can go back home. And just like our father is one spark, a similar one spark, we are different sparks, all individual sparks.
okay.
Does
Okay,
that answer your question, Mataji? Or if you have any follow-up question, you can feel free to ask.
no, Prabhuji, I got it. Thank you,
Yeah.
Prabhuji.
And then other thing, another point that Prabhupada says is, okay, so some theories in some schools of philosophy agree that, okay, we are all sparks, but all the sparks together put together is only Krishna or the Supreme Lord. Means that if you take a mirror, you break it into fragments, the original mirror is lost, right?
Yes,
But
Prabhuji.
only if all the fragments come together that the mirror will be there. But that theory is wrong, because then we are trying to say that the Lord is energy is limited, because in the Ishopanishad it starts with Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Means you take complete whole out of the whole, what remains is complete whole. You add complete whole to the whole, what remains is there. So which means that in the material world, 1 minus 1 equal to 0. Means if you break a mirror fragment, a mirror into fragments, the original mirror lost its form. But in the spiritual world, it's not like that. 1 minus 1 equal to 1, 1 plus 1 equal to 1. Means if we take the entire fragments that are part of the Supreme Lord and send them to the material world also, the Supreme Lord still is existing in the spiritual world. Okay.
Okay, okay, Prabhuji. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So Krishna is always residing in the Golok Vrindavan.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any other questions? Okay. If not, we'll say Hare Krishna Mahamantra once and close today's session. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. भगवान श्री कृष्ण परमात्मा की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, शिल प्रभुपाद की जय. All glories to Krishna. Hare Krishna. All glories to Vaishnava devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.